right, you're back on air 247.tv. I've been very fortunate enough today where the studio is located here in Las Vegas. Snap-on Tools were having a barbecue, and I don't know how I did it, but I was fortunate enough to pinch Cruz Pedregon. He's come down to the studio. We're going to do a quick little interview with him. Cruz, thank you very much for taking the time. I know it's a last-minute thing, and we snagged you out of the car park, and I appreciate you coming down here. So tell us about your big weekend here in Las Vegas.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. And what's your first name again? I'm sorry.
John.
John.
See, that's how quickly, like literally, Cruz literally just like walked down the driveway, grabbed him at the front door and said, quick in here.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here. First of all, we race on the NHRA circuit. For some of the viewers that may not know what the heck I do, but I race the Snap-on Tools Nitro funny car, and we race all over the country, and we race from California to Florida and everywhere in between. We have 23 events, and we go 315, 320 miles per hour in 4 seconds. So pretty serious race car.
It is, and I've been following. I first got introduced into drag racing back in, I can't remember, it was a long time, but when I first got introduced, well, not personally introduced to you guys, but I'm sure you're familiar with Graham Cowan, Rocket Industries. Absolutely. And Andrew Cowan.
Yep.
A guy that I work with at Rocket, Troy, who I know he tunes in and still watches to this day. You and your brother, Troy, got me into you guys because I knew John Force for a long time, and everyone's John Force sort of thing. Hey, he's a nice guy and everything, but you know what? I like the other guys, and I was introduced to you and your brother, and Dale Worsham and a couple Ron Caps and whatnot. And I've been following you guys and watching you guys quite a lot, but obviously I'm from Australia and I've only recently come to the US, and you guys don't come to Australia.
Well, not yet, but I'll tell you, lately we've had a lot of conversation about maybe going to Australia at one point in time. Actually, Snap-on has a pretty large dealer network with franchisees in and around that area. So we think it would be good to make an appearance there. Who knows? Maybe make an appearance on the racetrack. I'm trying to put together something with Santos Rapacita that runs the Top Fuel car with Corey Mack. He owns a funny car out there. So we're trying to figure out how we could get together and go down there. I'd really like to go. I'll tell you, the Australian people are very much into racing, not only drag racing, but I've sold midget cars, USAC type midget cars. I sold a dirt late model car to a gentleman out there, Mark, that he says it's growing out there. So the dirt track racing is big there, as well as drag racing. So I'm a fan of all kind of racing. So I have a lot of respect for the Australian folks because they seem to love the things that I love.
And Santos Rapacita, I actually used to do a little bit of filming for Santos, and of all the drag races in Australia, apart from like Cowan and Jim Reed and that, Santos a huge. He loves drag racing. He loves being around the team, the cars. I mean, he doesn't drive or anything, but that guy's got so much passion, and he's gutsy to keep coming out to the US and race all the time.
Yeah, and speaking of Santo, I got to spend a little time with him at my crew chief Lee Beard's house down there in Indy, and boy, you talk about we were throwing back a few drinks, but what a interesting man, and obviously a successful businessman where he's able to afford to come out here and race on a big stage. So nothing but love for Santo, and even Graham. You mentioned Graham Cowan earlier. I remember in the late '70s we would go to Pomona, and there's this car called the Aussie Raider, and it was a former Joe Paisano Nitro funny car, and I thought, man, who the heck is this guy? But I'll tell you, he went to the final round, lost to Kenny Bernstein, I think in 1980 or '79 Winter National. I'm dating myself here, but what a family. And then later he went on to campaign with his son Andrew here in the States. So we know a lot of these guys through the years, but like I said, one day I'd like to go there and hopefully put on a show for the Australian fans.
Yeah, we got a good track now. Eastern Creek is a good track, and Kwinana over in Western Australia, good tracks. You'd really enjoy them. Well, before I want to ask you some alternative, because people know what kind of a station this is, but I want to ask you one question, and it's kind of like I want to talk about you, but John Force is debuting another driver, his daughter. So how do you think this makes the competition in the John Force camp in funny car?
Well, I think John has a strong stable of cars. You know, he has his own car. He has Robert Height and he has Mike Neff, all of which are strong cars. And then you add a fourth car. I think that team will be strong at some point down the road. But I think right now it's great to have another car, certainly another big team. Give us another car to beat up on, I think.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. So, it's good. I think anytime you can grow the sport and bring in, someone like John's other daughter, I think it's a good thing. You know, and Schumacher has 4 cars. So when a team, we take it, I look at it this way, John, is we come out here with our single car team. We're teamed with my brother, Tony, but we're basically a single car team, Snap-on, Wix, and all of our Toyota, all of our sponsors. And we come out there and we try to bloody those guys' mouth for them, and I don't mean that literally, but I mean it that, if you are shy away from the competition or you think anything negative about it, maybe you shouldn't be doing what we do. But I look at it as, hey, that's another opportunity for us to show the world that, hey, we don't need no stinking 4-car team. We can do it with 1 car.
A lot of people I know think that they should restrict it, but the problem is it doesn't matter ownership-wise. They can say, well, that's a separate team, and they can still be driving as a blocker.
Absolutely. So, but let me say this: despite what they want you to believe, it's still individual teams. I mean, when you go out there, you still have their own individual clutch discs, their own individual car, and their own individual crew chiefs. So, until we can tie everybody together and, and somehow mesh all of them together, it's never going to be as strong as it appears from the outside. So while I wish I had, their building, their shop, their resources, I still feel like, there's some single car teams that have some fire burning in their belly, and we have knowledge that we've learned through the years that I think we hold our own with those guys. So, I say bring it on. Does Don Schumacher or John 14 to own more than 4 cars? Probably not. But, the playing field is pretty level. In fact, I think as you see the season unfold, you're going to see guys like Tim Wilkerson, myself, even my brother Tony. We're going to get in our licks here and there, and, we're not going to be making any excuses. It's the way it is.
Well, I hear NASA's going to be closing down, and I was telling somebody about a story about there was a television show, and it was like you race what you got, you could race whatever, and there was this little bit of a joke about one of the cars turning up, and it had NASA on the manifold covers, and they said, yeah, we kidnapped a scientist from NASA, and it was a joke, and a couple months later it came out going, they actually kidnapped a scientist from NASA, took him to Mexico, hey, he built the car engine, wow. And then they started racing. I'm thinking, this is what you're going to need. You're going to have to get yourself a NASA scientist. But all jokes aside, what's your favorite track? Do you think like Vegas is a big city of all hype and everything? Do you like the Vegas track, or what's your favorite track to race on?
Well, I do like the Vegas track, John. But when you're sitting in that race car and you're sitting in a funny car and they lower the body, they all look kind of the same. You could look down at the strip here in Vegas and there's a little uphill, or you can go to, Phoenix or Indy or whatever, and you lower that body and there's a tree right there, a starting tree, and you're just looking down this alley. So I look at it, what determines my favorite racetrack? Well, again, they all look the same. I don't look at it as what has nice restaurants or what has a nice hotel or what track is convenient.
Or the helicopters.
Or the helicopter.
Which normally doesn't happen.
I just look at, where do we have overall success? Where have we had success? Where do I enjoy the people? And I would have to say that Indianapolis and Indiana is my favorite track because we've had success. Even when I've had cars that really weren't that good, it seems like I've been able to win first round, second round. I've won that race 3 times. It's our biggest race of the year. And I do enjoy, the fans there. So I would say Labor Day weekend, September, U.S. Nationals, our biggest race. It pays the most money. And I just like the racetrack. Of course, I like Pomona because that's our home track. Because my brothers and I, we're from Southern California. So beyond that, it's any track you can win at. Like I'll fall in love with Vegas. If we can win this weekend, it's my favorite track. No, but it's all in the eye of the beholder.
I guarantee if you went to Australia, you'd win there, and that'll be your favorite track.
Yeah.
So I want to offbeat from racing for a sec, and one of the things that we do on this station, a lot of people, they love the fact that we do the alternate things. Like I know you got to do the whole press thing, you got to go the news and everything, and it's talk race. We like to spread it out a little bit different. But what kind of car do you drive personally on a weekend or whenever? What do you drive?
Yeah, you know, I think that's good that you do this, because so many times we get the same cookie cutter answers or questions, and we have to answer this certain way. And pretty soon you do like me, you hit the mute button. When I watch the drag races and I hear an interview, even if it's my own interview, man, I don't want to hear some boring. So I try to mix it up. So I'm glad you're asking me that. My car of choice, you're not going to believe this. It's not a sports car. It's not a muscle car. It's a truck. I've always been into pickup trucks. So I'm thinking, what would be really cool? And if Toyota would make one, I would actually be driving a Toyota dual crew cab. But I bought a Dodge with a Cummins engine this year, a silver, loaded, 4-wheel drive. And that's my personal driver, my personal vehicle. Toyota guys are going to kill me if they see this. But I asked them, if you guys make a diesel crew cab, I will drive one of those.
Yeah.
But so that's what I drive.
You know, and do you have like a special car? Do you have a special car that you like to take out every now and then?
You know, God, I wish I did. But, you know, to be honest with you, and my girlfriend Stacy's going to kill me for this, because she says I race too much. I think too much about racing. But my hobbies are racing either nostalgia funny car, which I'm building one now, or a super late model dirt car on the oval tracks, or a sprint car, which I own a Maxim sprint car. I used to own midgets, but I sold those. So I really enjoy the off time and going out to a local grassroots type racetrack. And I just like to be one of the guys. You know, I don't really particularly like people treat me any different or want autographs. I just like to go there with, like I started out, like a lot of racers started out. John Force, my dad, we had a T-shirt, we had jeans, we wore our hat however we wore it. We ate hot dogs, we drank Cokes. We didn't have to act any, and do anything with anybody. But today's sponsorship programs are, I have to wear my shirt, I have to wear nice pants, and I have to be nice to everybody. Although I'm genuinely nice, I enjoy people, but I like to just do I'm a throwback kind of racer. And I look at guys like Tony Stewart, who remind me of those guys. I understand where they're coming from. Tony, I know Tony Stewart a little bit, and he's one of those guys that, he likes to do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah. And I guess maybe we're stuck in the wrong era here. But I still enjoy. Let me say this: I enjoy the sponsors we have. Snap-on is a great tool company, and they're the best tool that you can buy, and they make it easy for me to try to reach out and help them sell tools.
We have a drink company that sponsors our station, and I was saying, as a joke to someone here, I said, you know what, we should give him one of the drinks and make him hold it while he's interviewing,
Yeah.
like they used to do with Powerade and
product placement.
Placement.
Yeah.
Now I know that you came down here for a barbecue, and you're talking about nostalgia drag cars. Did Art from Art Goldstrom talk you into any of his cars?
Man, I'll tell you, Art, I've known Art just from talking to him and other people visiting his museum, but I had no idea that his museum was as badass as it is.
Awesome.
It is like top-notch, detail-oriented. He started probably a half dozen cars right on the. I'm thinking, man, I hope that thing isn't in gear, Art. It'll run us both over. But he started out. He had a wheelchair with a North Star in it, and I mean, you talk about a guy that really likes cars and his passion, and he's obviously invested heavily in them. And it's just really a great thing. We did with some of the franchisees here, we did a little barbecue with some of the businesses here that they sell product to, and I had a really good time. I enjoy spending time with some of the technicians that use the Snap-on tools. And Snap-on enjoys the fact that I'm able to talk shop with these guys and go there and start talking about some of the things that I used to do. And so I'm not just some racer that that thinks he's so cool that I can't talk to these guys. I realize that, hey, these are the guys that I used to do what they do, and this is what makes the world go round. This is what makes these cars run and takes families to their homes and businesses and that. So it's really important for me to have a connection with a sponsor like Snap-on. And so, that's where I met you. And,
what a great
and
sponsorship.
here we are, yes.
Snap-on, you must get some good deals on tools.
I do get good deals on tools, and believe it or not, it's a guy thing. It's almost like guys, women, maybe not get it, but to have a toolbox in your own backyard, in your own garage, it's kind of a status thing. We all want to open our drawers and have, all of the drawers full of tools. And Snap-on is definitely that brand that people want to have, even if they don't work on cars. I know guys there was a doctor that we went and visited early this year or last year. This guy's a doctor, and he has one or two cars, but he has several toolboxes full of tools.
And it's a good brand too. It's a worldwide.
It's a great brand and a great resale value. If a guy gets out of the business, who doesn't want to Snap-on?
That's right. Now I want to ask you something. Well, we're obviously, we're a rock station as well. What kind of music do you enjoy?
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Now I heard there was something going on up at the barbecue, and they were talking about, and there was a girl listening to some music, and there was a comment, and I'm thinking, I got to ask Cruz Pedregon, what kind of music do you like listening to?
I like classic rock. Like on I'm a big music guy, by the way, but I'll listen to on Sirius, I'll listen to 25 classic vinyl or classic rewind or 70s. Yeah, I do like 70s. A little disco. I get my disco on every now and then, and some 80s stuff. But I'm all over the place. Santana, to Earth, Wind and Fire, to Led Zeppelin. And so I'm a classic rock guy. Ozzy, I like a little bit of Ozzy. By the way, there's a group called the Easy Beats from the 60s. Yeah. I believe they were an Australian band. And they had one big hit. I think they were related to the Angus and his brother from AC/DC. So I'm trying to tie in the Australian angle here. But so I love
He's
music.
He's an Aussie. He loves.
Yeah, I'm a Mexican Aussie.
Yeah. And what influences you? Like I've spoke with a few guys on the NHRA circuit, and a good friend of mine is Chris Cream. He builds custom bikes, and Schumacher bought one of his bikes, and we're having a joke one day and saying everyone's got their little rituals before they go racing and stuff like that, and he was kind of like, he goes, I'll tell you what really gets me going, but you can't tell anybody this. Sorry mate. But he says he likes to kick back some tunes and stuff like that. He says he listens to music what people don't think he listens to, and he says he gets him pumped up and whatnot. Do you have a ritual or do you just kind of like, man, I'm going out there, I'm going to win, I don't care about everyone else, I am the competition?
Yeah. We all like to think and say that, but there are times that we want to listen to music just to get our heads right and to calm. But I usually try to calm myself down. I don't need any hard rock or anything to get me going. I need to go the other way. So I'm not afraid to put on a little old love song or some foo-foo music or something, that I'm not real proud, to talk about. But, I just like to mellow out, because in racing, you're like going to like an old Western where you're going to go in there and do gun battle with a guy. It's one-on-one, and you have to have your head right. Drag racing isn't like some sports where it's physical. Drag racing is a lot of mental. So you've got to go in there and, you only have one shot at this. So if you go there and you're in the right frame of mind, there's a good chance you're going to perform well and do a good job. So, there's times that I'll listen to music, and there's times I'll just tune it out and just listen to, what's going on with the other cars. I'll listen to the track and think about, are we doing the right thing? But when I put that helmet on, I feel like that's my time to just to kind of zone out on my own and get it together.
Now, this may sound really weird, but do you ever psych out your competitors? Here's a little thing that's been going on back home in Australia with some of the other guys that I know. They've got these iPads, and what they're doing is they're typing messages to each other, and the crew's running over and holding it in the window of the other guy's car. You don't do that sort of stuff?
I don't do that. I tried messing with a guy. I tried messing with a guy by the name of John Force. You've heard of John Force, right?
His name's come up.
Yeah.
Few times,
and he was he turned around and whipped my ass, I'm just going to say it, enough times to make me realize, don't be messing with the competition.
Yeah.
So this was in the 90s. So I'm like hardened steel. I think I've learned from the best. And I remember vividly thinking, if a driver's got to think of, and this is all my opinion. I mean, some guys like to joke around, have a good time. Yeah. I'm the kind of guy, hey, it's serious mode. My life's on the line. This is for keeps, as Don Perdome said many years ago. And I'm not anything but, I'm not jovial. I want to kick this guy's rear end. I want to knock him out. So I'm not in the mood to behave that way. But, you know, like I said, I've tried it. Didn't work. Thanks, John. And, you know, and here we are.
It's time to let some other drivers through, you know. I mean, he's got an excessive budget, you know. I mean, I seen inside the other Tony Schumacher, the Ferrari. Yeah. And I was fortunate enough to do some filming for him and whatnot. And when you look at their budget that they've got, and then you look at the next team, it's just ridiculous, you know.
Well, but I think that's a challenge for guys that, you know, I think it's a feather in their cap, because I think I always use this analogy, John, is I would think to myself, let's just say the high-end guy gets $3 to $5 million a year. You can get people out of the grandstands to run that operation to be successful. Doesn't take that good of a, I mean, yeah, you know, you can go hire everybody, get the guys. You better make it work. Now, imagine doing it for a third of that.
Yeah.
Now, the degree of difficulty all of a sudden raises up tremendously. So I look at it as, those guys should win. They better win. Guys like me that come along that have a lot of grit, heart, and desire, and we make it work with what we can bring to the table. And is my car needing anything? Absolutely not. My Snap-on car rolls up to that water box with nice, fresh set of heads, good superchargers, good clutch package. And so I don't really come up with any excuses. I come up there with, you know what, I got to rely on my 20 years of doing this, and I got to rely on the guys that I've hired to work on this car. I got a good one in Lee Beard this year. So I like our chances. Is it the best scenario? You know, my accountant doesn't think so, but when my career is over with, I want to be able to say, hey, you know what, I did it my way, and I did it the best way I possibly could. And to heck with those guys that can outspin me, because there'll always be somebody to outspin you.
And I kind of like think, you know, I mean, it's great to have, you know, a lot of money and be able to do this and that, but I kind of like think technology is a little bit taken too far over. I mean, I watch the way some of these guys, I mean, now everybody has to use the computers to tune the cars and that, but I think it's, when you look at where drag racing came from, it was like guys that had a passion. They used their heads. Now,
yes.
I mean, I'm not bagging any of the crews, but there's some real knuckleheads out there in the teams. Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you know what? They've got that job because they've got a computer there to tell them what to do, and that's what it is.
But you know, on that note, I still think that, to your point, heart and desire still wins out.
Yeah.
Because it's still, these are still cars. They still have 4 tires. So no matter what, at least from my vantage point, and then looking forward the next, you know, 10 or 15 years, the knowledge will still win out. The desire, the passion will still win out. I don't care what computer you put out there. Now, in another generation, I'm not going to have to worry about it because I won't be around probably, but I do think that hopefully people look at me as, hey, I'm proof that the little guy still can win, and just see. You wait and see.
Well, you know, you've certainly been around for a long time. You know, I know you're not, you know, always number one, but, you know, you've been around a long time and you're sticking to it and you can see where your roots are. But I want to kind of like skip this part a little bit because there's a couple other things and I know people are going to want to know this. So one, do you watch television?
Yes.
Do you get time? What's your favorite show on television?
Usually ID channel, like investigative discovery, or I like Forensic Files, Cold Case Files. I like to watch the not reality TV shows like Lizard Lick, Towing, or anything like that.
So you don't watch the Kardashians Take New York?
No way. I like to see the modern law enforcement agencies with the DNA process, and I like to see them go after the bad guy. I mean, you know, Lord knows we have a few bad guys in our world, but I like that. You know, I like that part of TV, and I also like Lockup. I like the prison shows. I like to see these guys, these badasses that are in prison doing life for whatever they did. I like to see how they live, and you know, I'm not glorifying it or I'm not saying it's cool. I just say that, you know, I think it's good that maybe some of our generation that sees how it really is, and there must be somebody watching because there's a lot of those shows on. So that's what I like to watch. I record, I DVR stuff. I watch some NHRA race. I still like NASCAR. I watch NASCAR, and I watch, the NFL, love NFL. During the season is a huge NFL fan.
There's a big rift between Aussies and Americans because NASCAR, they just go round and round, whereas like the Australian V8 supercars and that they've got actual tracks where they kind of like,
Oh, I watch those supercars. Let me tell you, you talk about cars that look nice on TV, the venues they race on, and the competitiveness. Yeah, no, that's why the Australian people I think can be proud of their racing heritage, is because they're like, we go to the Chili Bowl. There's this race called the Chili Bowl every year. It's in Tulsa. There's one or two guys that show up, never raced in the States. Michael Pickens is one of these guys, and he is so good that he runs right up front with all the hot dog top drivers. So the thought is that, hey, these Australians, they do some serious racing over there. So
they're crazy. And if you ever get a chance, you got to go to Bathurst, which is like the last race of the year, and go hang out on the hill with the Aussies.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I want to go there one day and and watch some of the racing there. And obviously the fact that our winter is their summer lends itself for American, when our season's over with, maybe to go down there and check it out.
And do you do any other sports apart from racing?
No, not really. I don't. I don't do much. People don't realize this. I'm not a thrill seeker. People like, man, I don't want to get no parts of bungee jumping or anything like that. I mean, occasional roller coaster here and there, but I like to just chill at home if I'm not, because we travel so much that I like to stay home and watch some TV or get out and do some dirt track racing. But I'm not really big into, honestly, there isn't a lot of time for us to take up too many other hobbies. And I don't want to to do something where I'm so caught up in it that I don't, either A, I don't have fun at it, or B, it gets into my regular job. So,
because imagine a Sunday where, Cruz Pedregon, where is it? There's no car at the start line, and Cruz is out there playing tennis.
Out there playing tennis. Although I do like tennis, I watch the Australian Open. Funny you mentioned that. I'm a fairly picky sports guy. Pro tennis, particularly the Grand Slams, the 4 slams. I do like the NFL, everything about the NFL, the draft and everything goes on. And boxing, I'm a huge boxing fan. Not so much the UFC and that kind of thing, but I'm more into, the Muhammad Ali,
the real boxing.
Roger Mayweather or Floyd Mayweather, the regular boxing. Yep.
He's Vegas. He's his hometown.
Yeah, he's a Vegas guy. Yep, I'm hoping he fights. I keep on to say Julio Cesar Chavez, but that was like a decade ago. Pacquiao, Manny Pacquiao.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's fought him. Maybe a couple times now, but I know that there's supposed to be another fight scheduled. We have another guy here that does like boxing and a little bit of the UFC, and he's been telling us, he's like, we got to come out there and do some filming and whatnot. So what about cooking? Do you cook much on the road? I'm
a no cooking machine, John. I don't cook anything. Toast, occasional, I'll slap together a sandwich. I can barbecue, but what's weird? I'm going to sound like a lazy bum, which I probably am anyway, but I would rather go out and buy dinner and go have dinner and not have to worry about cleaning dishes, pots and pans and all that. And so don't really cook that much. Unless somebody's cooking it for me, Stacy. No, I go out.
And what's your favorite food? I know you've traveled all across the U.S. Where's one place that you always got to go to?
There's this place, Mexican food. Mexican food is like, in fact, I've eaten a little too much Mexican food lately, but there's this place called Ramona's in Gardena, California, that has the most incredible Mexican food. It's like beyond this world. But then I do like the In-N-Out burgers of the world, the Del Tacos, and Southern California has, even Vegas for that matter, has a lot of good restaurants where like fast food stuff. But I don't know. I just Mexican food and a good old burger, fries and burgers.
Fries and burgers.
Hot dog here and there too.
We should get Stacy on here and find out what you really like now.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been watching onair247.tv. I've been fortunate enough to have Cruz Pedregon from the Snap-on race team. Don't forget, there's the Vegas races on this weekend. Cruz is going to try and take out John Force or one of the Force clan or something like that. I just hope someone takes them out. He's been fortunate enough to spend a little bit of time with us. He's taught us a little bit of insight to what really goes on in the Pedregon camp and stuff like that. You know, he's a very down-to-earth person, as you can see. Don't be afraid to go up into the pits, ask for an autograph or something. One of the great races, like I said, you know, I was introduced to him in, I think, 99 or 2000, and I followed his career for a long time. But yeah, we've been great. Thank you so much for coming down.
I appreciate it, John.
And if you come to Vegas, either come to the races or come and check out Art and Shirley Goldstrom's car museum and whatnot. And once again, I'm so grateful for you coming out here. It means the absolute world. And if we can, we missed out on some media passes to the races, you know, and we're media, but we're going to try and come out there and see you at the races, see how you go, grab some footage. We'll stick it up on the website, and maybe we're going to try and sneak another interview with you after the weekend.
Yeah. You know, let me say this in closing. I think this is a good time. I'm not going to make any predictions, but I feel like our team's going to be one of the cars to beat this weekend. And I feel I'm confident, but, you know, anything's possible. But I would definitely encourage fans, if they want to come out if they've never been at NHRA, you need to go. The ticket is a pit pass. You can walk in. You cannot do that any other venue. You can get behind the scenes, behind the, you know, where we actually work on these cars. And so I encourage fans to come out, and if they've never been, come out to NHRA race. If not, we'll see you down the road.
And don't forget, drag racing, it's the only sport you can feel, literally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks.